Hi guys, welcome back to Vedic Astrology. Today I'm coming up the annual 2026 predictions. This is being recorded for the sign of Cancer. Now you can watch this video both from a Cancer rising ascendant perspective as well as from a Cancer moon standpoint. Now guys, 2026 is an year where I will say Cancerians breathe because the worst is about to come to an end. Why do I say that? Well, 2026 is a year where you will find great relief. Saturn, who had been in your eighth house causing Ashtam Shani last year, had already made the transit to your ninth house and is going to be stationed in your ninth house through the course of this year, which is going to be a phenomenal thing because he is stationed in your house of fortune, luck, destiny. And this is positive because Saturn's ninth position is generally considered a good sign. At the same time, you are going to be forming this brilliant Hamsa Mahapurush Raj Yoga coming into picture, where the shift of Jupiter into your first house, into your Rashi, if you're watching from a moon perspective, is going to be phenomenal when Jupiter comes into its exaltation mid of this year. And then finally, the tremendous karmic undercurrent that you've been facing with Rahu's placement in eighth house is also going to come to an end because eventually he is going to transit into your seventh house. Now, folks, I have recorded this video or I'm bifurcating this from a quarterly perspective where Q1 quarter one is going to be about January, February, March, April, May, and June for your second quarter, July, August, September for your third, and the last part is going to be captured in October, November, December period, where we will discuss some of the key highlights coming into picture through the course of these four major periods and what sort of a significance from a planetary transit perspective that you can anticipate in this year. So, without further ado, let's jump into the detailed insights. Now, Cancerians, your first quarter, which is from Jan 1st till March 31st, is going to be a period which, if I may call, it's going to be the final karmic bill. Now, why do I say that? See, Jupiter, which gets exalted in your first house, is going to be still stationed in retrograde position at the start of the year in your 12th house itself in the sign of Gemini. And he will turn direct on March 11th, where there will be a definitive shift coming into play. Now, Jupiter happens to be the lord of your sixth house and your ninth house. So, your lord of destiny, fortune, as well as long distance travels is stationed in the 12th house itself. And there are certain positives coming out with this shift too, wherein any kind of opportunities in terms of work, career, profession, education in a foreign land, all of that can materialize and bring you some substantial gains, success your way. But it is also stationed into the house of high expenses. It's stationed into the house where you could feel isolation or spiritual enlightenment. And when sixth lord is in the 12th, well, a good Vipreet Raj Yoga is coming into picture, but please be open to the idea that there could be certain obstacles, challenges, difficulties that could come your way. However, you will still be able to overcome during its retrograde period because of its high Cheshta Bal and giving you that energy to navigate through it successfully. Being the ninth lord and the 12th, it indicates that this is going to be a period marred with some kind of difficulties for people who are in jobs, who are working in large multinational corporations. And what you will notice there is that there will be some ambiguity, some difficult situations that could create, lack of trust, misunderstanding, confusion, or some activity being done behind your back without your knowledge, without you being aware of those situations. Yet, given that he is such an auspicious and positive planet, especially for you folks, Cancerians, he will still try to help you navigate through this comfortably. Especially in its retrograde position, it is going to give you certain degree of gains right at the point in time before he becomes direct. Remember, retrograde planets, especially benefic ones like Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, tend to bring a lot more positivity when compared to that in Saturn, who will become retrograde later in the third quarter, and we are going to touch upon that too. Now, Jupiter sitting here in your 12th house will be giving an aspect to your 6th, 4th, and 8th. And therefore, it is going to be still a period where there is going to be some sort of a regeneration, a visit of spirituality, but marred with lack of peace. And that is why I said that this is the quarter of the final karmic bill coming into picture for you. Saturn, on the other hand, is sitting in the sign of Pisces in your ninth house, and it is going to slowly help you build your bhagya, your luck, your fortune. He's your seventh lord. So, people who are in businesses, in relationships, in partnerships of some sort, you will see a slow build up or consolidation in a positive direction for you. But at the same time, you might feel that difficulties are still abound. Why? Because Saturn happens to be your eighth lord as well. And this means that you will have to take good care of your father's health, your relationship with your mentors, guide, teachers during this point in time. He is stationed in the sign of Pisces, and Jupiter will have a look on him from second quarter, and we are going to touch upon that too. But during the course of this period, I need you to be absolutely uh, focused towards what needs to be done with respect to your relationships, and therefore unnecessary misunderstanding should be severely avoided with all of these connections. There could be a slow progress for students watching this video, especially who are looking forward for foreign travel or foreign education. But progress is bound to come because Saturn is giving an aspect to the 11th house as well. It will be marred with difficulties. It will be combined with a lot of effort coming in from your side. However, it will eventually pan out. For people in employment who are having any kind of loans, litigations, unexpected enemies coming their way, they will also be able to overcome those problems thanks to the Shatruhanta Yoga that Saturn gives through its aspect into the sign of Sagittarius in your sixth house. But as I said, all of it is going to be a slow progress through the course of this period. Rahu is stationed in your eighth, and Ketu is in your second. Now, Rahu's presence is definitely highlighting some bit of sudden events, high stress situations continuing in your life, or maybe marred with your relationships with your spouse's family, with your in-laws, with your fiance's family for that matter. Your continuous research, learning new stuff, especially things that you have not explored before, is going to be crucial during this period of time as well. On the other side of the spectrum, you have Ketu sitting in the sign of Leo through the course of this period, which means that there is a certain degree of detachment, aloofment. Ketu is a knife, cuts through, and that is where it can pull you away from all those areas. And many of you Cancerians could have seen difficulties in your career, work, profession as well, because with its second, sixth, and 10th connection coming into picture, Ketu does tend to impact all of those areas. Mars is showing the biggest highlight for you folks at the start of the year itself in January. On around 16th of January, Mars will be becoming exalted. And this is happening in your seventh house. And therefore, Cancer people, you are going to see transformative shift, especially in your businesses, if you are self-employed in your own professions, with your partners, with your customers. There will be a heightened degree of energy which is going to come into picture. This Mars will also be giving an aspect to his own house in the 10th. So you will be full of energy, brimming with confidence, taking matters head on. But this can be a critical period if you are in a relationship, if you are married, and there could be certain difficulties, especially argumentative situations that can come into picture. Try and keep a check. And I'm not asking you to not being ambitious or not strive for that power, being powerful for that matter, but aggressive negotiation, aggressive uh, behavior towards partners can be detrimental for some of you. Of course, this is a transit reading, so you must always check into your natal dasha antar dasha to get heightened clarity. As you move further, you see that Venus is going to be present in your ninth house in the sign of Pisces around March 2nd. And this is a point where Venus will be sitting in exaltation in conjunction with Saturn. For many of you Cancerians, this is going to be a point of time. This is going to be a month where you are going to get some due adulation, promotion, support from your elders, seniors, people at your workplace, your bosses, or for students who are watching this video, success in your career as well. Because earlier Mars was exalted being your fifth lord in your seventh house. And now, when Venus is also coming in exaltation in your ninth, being the lord of your fourth house, it is going to bring a lot of positivity. This is also going to be a period where the 11th lord is 11 places away from itself, thereby promising through Bhavarth Bhavam good gains, wish fulfillment, success coming in your life. When you look further, Sun is going to be entering into the sign of Aquarius, transiting into your eighth house around uh, middle of the month of February. And all of you know I'm not a huge fan of luminaries coming to the eighth house, but I will give you a word of caution, Cancer. You must look into your tax related matters, inheritance related affairs, or anything in connection with your joint finances with your partner or with your in-laws, because there could be some degree of a highlight that can come in that area. As you move further, Mercury will be retrograded in your eighth house in the sign of Aquarius on Feb 26th. And this becomes crucial, guys, because you have to understand any account related matters, any insurance related matters, wills that you have written or you anticipate to find any kind of gains. There could be some degree of discrepancy that can come into picture. Mercury happens to be your third lord as well as your 12th lord. So it's a Viparit Rajoga coming into picture, but the expenses, coming into the eighth house means there is a loss of what you can anticipate with those unexpected gains. And thereby, I will give you a critical warning that you must navigate any kind of joint accounts very carefully. All in all, this first 3 month period is coming across like a cosmic pressure cooker being built up for you, because Jupiter is sitting in your 12th house in your house of expenses, whilst Mercury will also become retrograded in your eighth house, and Ketu is already stationed in your second. So you see, somewhere there is a financial crunch which I anticipate is coming into picture based on all these combinations. There is a good respite which is coming in through Mars. Students who are watching this video, people who are in romantic partnerships, they could look forward to establish their connections and get married as well. But at the same time, confusion, aggressive behavior with your partners can be detrimental. It will have both positive and negative connotations to it. And at the end of the quarter, you will notice that Venus's exaltation is like a saving grace, because this is going to be a period where all the things that you felt are not going in the right direction will now start, uh, you know, getting structured in a positive way. Maybe your teacher, your professor, your mentor, your father, they could bring in, that light at the end of the tunnel, pull you out the problems. You will find that support of luck coming in at the last part of the quarter, thereby bringing the respite that you desperately seek. Now, as we move into the second quarter, from April, May, June onwards, this is going to be a period which I will say is the great rebirth or the great comeback for you folks, Cancerians. First and foremost, what we notice is that this is the time when around 2nd June, Jupiter is going to enter, which is the biggest event for you folks. He is going to enter to your Lagna in your first house, in your Rashi, if you're watching from a Cancer moon perspective, where he becomes exalted and forms the Hamsa Mahapurush Yoga for you folks. Now, your sixth lord and your ninth lord is going to be in the first house, giving you that optimism in health, positivity in terms of wisdom, clarity of thoughts. It will appear as if things are now beginning to sort out, because there will be this stupendous benediction of the Supreme that might come your way. The sixth lord is in the first house. You will take priority of your health, of your career, of your job, profession. competitive examinations if you're appearing into them, or any kind of business challenges that you've been facing, any kinds of loan litigations that you wanted to resolve, this is going to be the period where you will get absolute clarity and things start aligning like pieces of the puzzle sorting out for you. Plus, your ninth lord is in your first house now. Finally, it seems, Cancerians, like the universe is conspiring to make things happen in the positive direction. Luck is going to fall at the right place at the right point in time for you. But second quarter is also going to be a point in time where Saturn continues to be stationed in your ninth house itself, in the sign of Pisces. As I had mentioned earlier, Saturn is a slow moving planet and he will continue to help you build on your luck, will help you continue to establish strength in your relationships. But you will be required to work in that direction. You will be required to consolidate your partnerships. Remember, he is your eighth lord. So, transformation through the course of this journey is going to be the part of your emotion in terms of the part of what you embark upon. Rahu is still in your eighth house, whilst Ketu is in your second. So there is no shift from the Rahu Ketu transit coming into picture. In this case, would remind you that this is going to be the 3 month period where you continue to face the undercurrent of Rahu, that transformation, that shift, that learning, and be humble even if you see the rise as Jupiter is coming into your Lagna in your ascendant. Whilst Ketu is not going to be just driving you away from the material aspect of things, but it is going to now establish a higher degree of spirituality with Jupiter gaining its strength through the course of this period. Mars, on the other side, has transited into your 10th house in the sign of Aries around May 11th. Now, Mars is going to gain, great strength when it comes into the own sign of Aries. It gets good directional strength as well. And this is where being in the Kendra house itself, it's a good Rochak Yoga coming into picture for you. You will find Cancerians that there is going to be a rise in terms of your career, in terms of your work, profession, whatever journey you are embarking upon, especially students watching this video. This is going to be a period of success materializing because it's your fifth lord getting directional strength, forming Rochak Yoga in the 10th house itself. Your romantic relationships would see a lot of aggression, passion, work being done from your side. It's a good, positive connection. Materially as well, your money will start making the rounds, but Mars is giving you an aspect on your Lagna in your first house. So be careful that this aggression may not rub off negatively on people in your social and more importantly in your professional circles. Venus, on the other side, is going to be in your 11th house in the sign of Taurus from April 19th, in the start earlier part of the quarter itself, which is in your 11th house. So your 11th lord and your fourth lord is in the 11th house itself. Many of you could see some sort of gains coming in your life from a financial standpoint. Your goals, targets, objectives that you've been aggressively, shaping or chasing all this while will now see materialization. And that's why I said it's going to be a rebirth or a bounce back of sorts for Cancerians, because Jupiter will later move into exaltation, but Venus is giving a promise as well of things positively working out for you. More importantly, you will start gaining some kind of mental, emotional peace. Many of you could take, transformative activities around your property, assets, some sort of a acquisition, a luxurious acquisition in terms of an asset could also come into picture, because around April 19th period when this is happening, Jupiter will still be direct in your house of expenses. So that seems to be connecting the dot in terms of this combination acting together for you. The important highlight is that Mercury happens to be your 12th lord and your third lord, Cancerians, and he is going to get retrograded in your first house itself on June 29th. Now, this is the point where there could be a certain degree of brain fog that might come into picture. There could be some degree of confusion that might rise, which might result into losses. And I would, highly recommend you to not rush into any kind of decision making, some sort of an action, because he's your third lord as well. Some sort of an action could be prompted in your mind, and you could feel that you must act within the time frame. If that is the situation, please feel free to get guidance, inputs, information from somebody around you whom you trust, from your guru, mentor, an astrologer for that matter, because Jupiter will already be sitting in its sign of exaltation during this period in your first house. So Mercury's retrogression always becomes crucial, with something acting up with your devices, with your electronics, in terms of your decision making. An unexpected expense or health related issue could also become a problem with this retrograde period when it started the last part of the quarter. All in all, I think the synthesis of this period is that there's a double exaltation which is going to come into picture. um, Firstly, Sun will get exalted around April 14th. Then Mars will also be joining that. Jupiter will come into its exaltation and things will start working out for you. It will seem as if now, for the way the world sees you, all that inherent depth, introspection, research, work that you've done on yourself will start getting some sort of a, support, adulation, and respect for the people who are around you. Last but not the least, you have to also monitor that whilst Jupiter is going to be acting as the savior, Venus will be joining, on June 8th in your Lagna itself. So there is this interesting Kuber Yoga also comes into picture. Venus is completing the entire cycle, and the Lord of Wish Fulfillment is also coming in the first house. So he's giving a promise that whatever you've worked hard, whatever you've strived for, this is a time when things are going to get materialized for you. So, Cancerians, as you enter your third quarter, you have to understand that there will be some degree of stress test that will come into play. And why do I say that? See, we all know that your Lord ruler is Moon, which means typically Cancerian people are ruled by emotions. And this is going to be a quarter, July, August, September, where you will feel a test of your emotions coming into picture. The great part that you already find with the shift of Jupiter on June 2nd, as we discussed earlier, forming that Hamsa Mahapurush Yoga in your Lagna house, in your first house itself, is definitely promising that irrespective of any challenges coming in your life, there is a support, there is a benediction of the Supreme which is coming in your life. So that is going to provide you that divine shield that you definitively need to navigate through the course of this period. It will protect you from a health perspective, from a wisdom perspective during the course of this time. But Saturn is going to bring the biggest highlight. Around July 27th is when your seventh and your eighth Lord ruler Saturn is going to become retrograded in the sign of Pisces, again in the ninth house. And this is the point of time where your luck in itself, your destiny in itself could be under review. Your relationship with your seniors, mentors, gurus, teachers, guide could see a test. How have you been able to collaborate with them? What has been the kind of impact that you've felt in terms of the work that you're putting through? There could be some discrepancies that come now on the surface. Any kind of miscommunication that you've had in the past might surface at this point in time. And the risk that we see is that your leaders in itself could disappoint you of some sort, or there could be some challenges with respect to the health, say, of your father, of your teacher, mentor, guru, bosses, difficulties coming in their professional life, especially because Saturn denotes karma as well, or any kind of long distance journeys, plans that you had made in terms of shifting into new places, they could suddenly come to a stall as well during this point in time. So retrogression of a planet, of a malefic planet like Saturn, can be difficult, especially when he holds the eighth house lordship as well, in your case, Cancerians. And I would recommend you to navigate this period with absolute sanity, patience, and perseverance. You are going to be tested in terms of your relationships. Your efforts could be questioned at all points in time. Saturn's retrogression is going to impact your gains because he is giving a retrograded aspect into your 11th house as well as your third and sixth. So people who are working, who are in competitive situations, your relationship with your siblings, your own hobbies, it will feel as if you may want to aloof yourself. But this is exactly, the challenge that Saturn wants to test you upon. Rahu continues to sit in your eighth house. So some chaos does come, but you must continue to focus in terms of learning new stuff. See, being spiritual is going to be highly helpful for you, Cancerians, to navigate this period. Because at the end of the day, the best results of Saturn comes for people who bring a certain degree of spirituality and religion in their life. It forms a sannyasa yoga if it is positioned in a similar place in your natal chart as well. So you will have to be cognizant of these significances from that perspective coming in. There is no shift of Rahu and Ketu during this period. However, Mars will enter, the danger zone in a way, because he is going to be transiting into the sign of Gemini around 2nd of August, right when Saturn becomes retrograded. Mars will enter the sign of Gemini, and therefore, any kind of miscommunication can be dangerous, especially with your bosses at your workplace, in your, in and around your peers as well. Mars will be giving an aspect towards the sixth house, but there is a retrograded aspect from Saturn. So there is a decent Shatru Hanta Yoga, but challenges will still keep steeping up. They will still keep coming in your life. Now, around this period, I think around 17th or 18th of September, if I remember my dates correctly, Mars will be coming into its debilitation point in your Lagna itself. Now, the fifth lord or your 10th lord coming into the first house is not a bad situation, because Mars happens to be a Yoga Karaka planet for you Cancerians. But his debilitation can bring in certain challenges. The good part is he is getting a proper niche bhanga at least for half of this duration, where Jupiter is also stationed there. You may still have to be watchful of your communication, anger, expression at your workplace with people around you. And when guys, I continue to take 10th house as the workplace, as your profession and career, but it could mean anything. You're a student, it could happen in your college, with your professors, with your teachers at your school. If you are a homemaker, what is your workplace? Your family in itself. And you will be hyper busy during this period. Work on behavior almost will come into fruition, and it might appear as if things are not working out the way you desire. Yet, trust me, it will be navigating in the right direction. Thanks again to the support that you are getting and the natural niche funga that you are getting with the presence of Jupiter in your first house. Then you have Venus. He will also get debilitated in the sign of Virgo in your third house around August 1st. And I keep referring to the dates for my notes, because one cannot remember all the dates for the entire year. Now, Venus happens to be your fourth lord, being 12th to itself in debilitation, and he also happens to be the lord of your 11th house. So you will have to pump in your own efforts, your own hard work, show in courage to make sure you are able to achieve the outcomes that you desire. However, because Venus is debilitated, and that too in the third house, there could be that, low energy situation that can come in, that can creep in your mindset. And the drive that you need to make things happen might get limited. What is the remedy? You must figure out a way to push yourself through the course of this period. You might feel uncreative, unloved, or even result into some sort of unexpected argumentative situations, or a point of commotion with your siblings. But remember, the great part is that Venus is still giving an exalted aspect towards your ninth house. So whilst this disturbance is happening and Saturn is in retrogression, there is still some hope. Jupiter is aligning that, and the exalted aspect of Venus is also saying that things are not as bad as they might appear to you. And therefore, I said it is like a stress test which is coming into picture. Sun, on the other side, will be transiting into your second house in the sign of Leo around August mid durations, somewhere around 16th, 17th of August at that point in time. And this is going to be a period where, and some bit of respect, adulation is what you can expect from your family members. You are going to be consolidating and making your finances stronger as well during this point in time. But Ketu is still bringing a certain degree of detachment, because he continues to be stationed in the same house itself. I would recommend you to leave any kind of ego, any kind of me I myself sort of a mindset, because that can be detrimental in your personal relationships. Then the last bit comes with respect to Mercury, who is finally going to be turning direct in the sign of Gemini on July 24th itself. So the confusion that you are having, or the commotion that you've been facing, will definitely subside, because Mercury's presence in the 12th is not one of the most premium ones, but why do I say premium? Not one of the best positions to be in. It is a natural point of debilitation for Mercury. However, he is in its own sign. It becoming direct will bring a lot of confidence to you in terms of what sort of investments, what sort of expenses, where should my time, effort, energy be going. And that is the kind of clarity that you will be needing through the course of this period. What you will have to definitely be wary that, number one, job, or people who are associated with their careers, who are facing any kind of health related matters, they must be careful at this point in time. Avoid in this quarter taking any kind of major loans. Don't get into argumentative situations. Remain calm. You will be able to successfully navigate if you just bring in some degree of withdrawal from your side towards the marketplace. Continue to put in your effort wherever required, but do not undertake unnecessary battles through the course of this period. Of course, we will deep dive with greater, timelines and weekly details once we create our monthly readings as well. But let's now look into the fourth quarter and understand what happens from the month of October to December for you guys. October is going to be a month where the major shift of Jupiter is going to come into picture, who is going to move from the sign of Cancer and enter into the sign of Leo, albeit only for a couple of degrees. Thanks to his Atichari movement that we've been discussing, it is going to bring Jupiter for a limited amount of time in the sign of Leo. But the important bit for you guys to understand is that he is moving into your second house. He brings the signification, abundance, positivity from a second house perspective. And that is again a crucial thing. So you see, the best thing that is happening in the year 2026 is that Jupiter, who's a very crucial planet, Yoga Karaka planet for you folks in a way, being the ninth lord, is bringing lots of blessings and shielding you throughout. Once he enters your second house, he does indicate positivity in terms of financial abundance. All this thing that we've been talking in the third quarter, where you have to overcome the challenges that we've discussed, navigate carefully in whatever walk of life you're coming from, you will see that now Jupiter will be giving an aspect from the second house to your sixth, eighth, and your 10th, which means that issues that were coming with respect to your career, work, profession, loan related matters that were not working out for you, any kind of litigations that were bothering you emotionally, mentally, Jupiter is going to give some degree of respite there. However, this Jupiter also wants you to be continually focused towards learning new affairs, learning new matters. He's, in direct, um, uh, you know, line of sight with Rahu stationed in your eighth house. And Jupiter's aspect, ninth aspect to your 10th, is indicating growth in your karma, positivity, positive outcomes, or remediation of your karmas in terms of what you can gain is going to come into picture. There is going to be an expansion in your bank, in your accounts, in your savings, in your wealth. There could be abundance, some sort of auspicious, positive ceremony that would come into picture in your family life. You would get to enjoy good food during this point in time as well. But at the same time, I would want you to remember that, uh, you know, auspicious ceremony could mean anything. Growth or abundance in the second house with Jupiter might indicate new marital relationships coming into picture, new family member. When I say marital relationships, it's like entry of a new person in your family, in your life, or childbirth for that matter could also be seen. By the way, Jupiter's presence in the sign of Cancer, as later in the sign of Leo, is indicating that promise through the course of that period. So, right from June 2nd all the way through the course of the year, this positive bit is coming into your life, Cancerians. Before we talk about the big shift, let's understand what is happening with other planets here. So, around November 12th period, you will see that Mars is now going to be leaving its sign of debilitation from your Lagna, from your first house, and it is going to be entering your second house in the house of Leo itself. The dangerous part here is that Mars still gives you aggression with respect to communication. And I fail to understand, Cancerians, you are soft, kind hearted people in general. But when this combination is there, there is going to be, a fieriness, feistiness in your speech. Expenses could also come into picture. However, they will be all positive expenses. Why? Because the 10th lord is coming into the second house. There is a decent dhan yoga. Your own karma will enable you to find some gains. However, a reinvestment of some sorts, Mars does tend to bring some degree of expenses. The reinvestment of some sorts in some shape or form, maybe reskilling yourself, learning newer stuff to find those gains, or involving more time to ensure that it is reflecting properly, will come into picture. It's the language bit, your interest towards spicy food, that could be triggered during this period itself. Then Venus, actually, I missed, I should have talked about Venus earlier, because on October 3rd, Venus is going to be becoming retrograded in your fourth house in the sign of Libra. This is crucial, guys. I like the presence of a Venus in the fourth house, that too in its own sign. It's a beautiful placement for that matter. And he is your 11th lord as well. So a lot of gains, wish fulfillment, or in general, expansion of your mental emotional peace is promised. But at the same time, when Venus is retrograded, this is not the best period in terms of jumping into any kind of luxurious purchases like a car or a property, and you could be itching to do that. The period prior to that, in the previous quarter in Q3, if I had missed it, is going to be a much better period. But this 40-day period from October 3rd onwards, all the way till mid of November, is something that you must sort of avoid. Now, around October 17th or 16th, somewhere around the mid of the month, Sun will also be moving into your sign of Libra in your fourth house itself. So he will be coming into, at the point of debilitation. There could be an expansion of domestic problems, difficulties, ego-related matters coming into picture. Yet you might shine. So on one side of the spectrum, you might gain a lot of market adulation that you've purchased something big, but it can be detrimental as well. He will get partial niche banga too, but you must be careful in terms of your decision making. You must look into your dasha, antardasha, natal chart to get better clarity as to what is happening. Mercury, on the other side, will get into retrogression in your fourth house on November 6th itself. So that again brings in certain degree of paperwork, some sort of a confusion, argumentative situations. Your failure of equipments at electronics and equipments at your home could also happen. So all those scenarios can come into picture during this point in time. However, the most crucial bit which is coming into this quarter is the shift of Rahu and Ketu. Now, Rahu is going to bring that grand finale where he is going to transit from your eighth house. Ashtam Rahu is coming into a closure. That chaos is going to come to an end. And that obsession that you had with eighth house affairs is now going to be shifting towards your partner, towards your partnerships, your relationships, your business ventures for that matter, whilst Ketu is going to be coming into the sign of Cancer. And you see, this is a drastic shift. Some major event in your life around December 15th onwards, that trigger is going to come into picture. And you can look back 18 years, you'll get a lot more clarity. Whenever Rahu Ketu come in the 1-7 or the 4-10 axis, there is a predominant shift that can be anticipated, Cancerians. With Ketu coming into the Lagna, your focus will now be not towards yourself. It is going to be a sense of detachment. You will feel aloof with everything, but focused towards a certain goal, towards your partner, towards your business. And that is not a misdirection. That's a good thing to happen in a way. It's just that you need to know that how do you navigate these energies positively. With Ketu coming into the Lagna, however, there is an aspect towards your fifth and your ninth. And 18-month forward, we will, of course, be doing a detailed video when we reach November, December period of 2026. And I will be giving a lot more insights as to, towards that. But it is not one of the best periods in terms of your romances, progeny, childbirth planning, and strategies in those areas. But that is a matter of later point in time. I think there is going to be an interesting shift of this Rahu and Ketu coming at the fag end of the year in December. And then the second week of December, around December 11th, Saturn is also going to become direct. So all those challenges that you faced during the third quarter, they are going to see a tremendous shift. Jupiter being in your second house, and now Saturn being in your ninth house in a direct position will give you a lot of clarity from a spiritual as well as fortune or luck perspective. It might start aligning for you in your favor yet again. What I would want you to remember is that crucial retrogrades are coming into picture with that of Venus as well as Mercury in the month of October and November. You must navigate your own mental emotional peace, your mother's health for that matter, because fourth house denotes that too when Venus becomes retrograded or any kind of challenges coming in, let's say repair of your car, of your luxurious assets, your movable, immovable property, or even your decision making, because your fourth house denotes your knowledge too, which I keep on emphasizing, folks. That all of that could be coming into question during this point of time. All in all, 2026 for you folks, Cancerians, is going to start with the first quarter where you will face financial as well as, financial stress or chaotic tests coming into your life. But you will be able to navigate them much more efficiently, hitting a peak in terms of growth, fabulous clarity coming in the second quarter itself, maybe impact in terms of severe positive career transformation, shift in terms of new job, work, study opportunities in faraway places. Those things will materialize for you. Your luck will continue to slowly and steadily grow through the course of the year. There is going to be a divine protection, a divine shield, which you will see coming in from June 2nd onwards through the course of this year. You will have sort of an emotional tussle once Saturn is becoming retrograded in the third quarter, which will trickle down for the next 4 to 5 months duration. And finally, by the end of the year, there will be a profound level of clarity once the shift of Rahu Ketu also happens with the end of Ashtam Rahu in your eighth house. And there will be a lot of sanity, clarity, peace of mind that you will eventually achieve as you lead through this transformation. I hope, folks, you appreciate the amount of effort and the hard work that goes in terms of creating these insights, sharing this with you. If you acknowledge, I request you to please smash on that like button, subscribe to Dev Astrology. Please put in your comments, share any feedback as to what I can do to do better. I would be, immensely obliged to get your insights there. Share this video with your near and dear ones. Help Dev Astrology grow. Thanks for watching this video. Om Namah Shivaya. Har Har Mahadev.